Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you traitorous. All power to the people.
A few moments later.
News alert, because moments ago, remember that church incident on Sunday in Minneapolis? The AG Pam Bondi posted this. So far, we have arrested Nikema Levy-Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul.
You know, my lawyers tell me they have no case. This use of the FACE Act and the KKK Act is complete bullshit. But let's be honest, they don't care. They don't believe in the rule of law. They're fascists.
Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. Let's get to these arrests. I couldn't wait. I now have to, in part, retract a little bit of what I said, because I said they ain't gonna do sugar honey iced tea to these people. They gonna do what they always do, just let them run free. And if they were Republicans, they'd be in prison. But to my shock and excitement, to be quite honest, they arrested these fools. Arrest. Thank God. Ain't no way in the world you gonna run up in a church and not go to jail over it. That's not protest. You protest outside. That's private property. You are thwarting another person's constitutional rights for them to have the freedom to assemble and worship their God. If you're anything like me, the holidays were rough on your body. Every health habit went out of the window. Desserts everywhere, late nights, missed workouts, but now is a new year and it's time to reset. And if we're going to undo the damage and actually feel better, we have to give our bodies what it needs. For me, that fresh start begins with Cove Pure. Here's the truth. Everybody jumps into the new year buying supplements, chasing diets, and killing themselves in the gym. But they ignore the most basic thing, water. Even mild dehydration wrecks your energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you look at what's actually in most tap water, you're already behind. That's why Cove Pure matters. Their clear wave technology is certified to remove up to 99% of all contaminants. PFAS, microplastics, pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, all gone. And what's left is just clean, pure water. And what I love about Cove Pure is how simple it is. I can choose hot, cold, warm water instantly. I hit the preset sizes so I actually drink enough water every single day. And the taste is unreal. Clean, smooth, no aftertaste. Plus, it sits right on top of my countertop. No installation, no plumber, no hassle. Cove Pure makes real health simple. So this year, make a resolution that actually sticks. Start with clean water. Right now, you can get $200 off for a limited time when you use my link, covepure.com/Tatum. That's covepure.com/Tatum. Start the new year right. Ain't no way in the world you gonna run up in a church and not go to jail over it. That's not protest. You protest outside. That's private property. You are thwarting another person's constitutional rights for them to have the freedom to assemble and worship their God. I would say this if it was a mosque, even though I don't like Islam, or I don't agree with Islam. If you go into a mosque, if you're a Christian and you run up in a mosque, think you're going to preach or do, that's silly. We live in America. You don't do that. But let's play the clip of these fools getting arrested. Let's start with the first announcement from Pam Bondi. Roll it.
Moments ago. Remember that church incident on Sunday in Minneapolis? The AG Pam Bondi posted this, all right? I'm reading now. Minutes ago, at my direction, HSI and FBI agents executed an arrest in Minnesota. So far, we've arrested okay, we'll come back to that. So far, we have arrested Nikema Levy-Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. We will share more updates as they become available. Listen loud and clear. We do not tolerate attacks on places of worship, end quote. I want you to react to that, Paul. But on Monday, Tricia McLaughlin was on with Dana and me. And part of her answer said, I think we will be seeing mugshots very soon. She was tipping her hand that arrests were on the made. on the way, rather, and this is the first one that's been made.
Yeah, and look, there's going to be very, very little that they can do in defense of this because it's on film, and for once, they didn't cover their faces. Now, here is the thing that's going to come out of this. You have her under arrest. Now you're going to get the communications, and this is where it starts to spider web out. You start to see who was talking to who showed up in regard, including Don Lemon. How much did they all know going in? That imports things like conspiracy charges, which can be quite heavy. There's criminal civil rights charges that are implicated in the church incident.
This is also because one of the things that we found out about that was that they were targeting them because they were privileged white supremacists.
We talked about that earlier in the week. Not only did that come out in the video and that they said something like that in the church, but then after the fact, Lemon talks about exactly that, putting a racial overtone in the whole thing, which potentially could import a hate crime.
Exactly. That's what this is. And I know my wife, she hates when I talk about a hate crime. She's like, it's just a crime. I'm like, no, there is what they call it, an added charge to when you do something with the motive of being hateful towards another person by action, meaning that it's aggravated if you go into a church and you do it because you're going after white people. And the reason why that's the case, because people used to do this against black people. And therefore, you are now aggravated the crime that you have committed. Same thing with being a part of a criminal gang syndicate, which means that if you do a crime or a robbery on behalf of a gang, that's aggravated charging. That means that you're going to get a heightened sentence. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. You going and attacking people based on their religion and based on their race, that's an aggravated, added-on charge that we don't need people to be doing that stuff in America. And look what this dummy said before she got arrested. I mean, they so brazen, like you said, they didn't cover their face. They're doing interviews on CNN. This, to be honest, you a dumb criminal. This is like going on a thing and snitching on yourself. Like the rappers rap about a crime they committed. You going on CNN and boasting about a crime. She's literally going to articulate elements of a crime on CNN. Roll the clip.
And I do want to correct something that was said in the beginning. We did not rush into that church. We actually went and sat down and participated in the service.
Premeditation.
And after the pastor prayed, that is when I stood up and asked him a question in response to his prayer. And then he responded to me. And then I proceeded to ask him about
disruption.
Pastor David Easterwood and how is it possible for him to serve as both the pastor and the director of ICE for Minnesota. And instead of responding to me, as soon as I said the name David Easterwood, the pastor says, shame, shame. And that is when I led us in chants, justice for Renee Good and hands up, don't shoot. So I want to clarify that. We didn't rush in. We didn't bust in. We were a part of the service until I got up and posed that question to the pastor.
Now, why in a funnel cake do this woman think that makes any sense? You are admitting to a crime. You just said you coordinated and premeditated a group of people to go and sit in at the church. And you premeditated your disagreement with his prayer. Then you admitted that you got up with the rest of the people and led them in disorderly conduct. And the pastor asked you to leave. You then refused to leave. You then articulated that you targeted the church because of a person that worked for the government that was a part of the church. Now look at this fool in handcuffs. You want a mug shot? Put that ugly mug on there. You had no business whatsoever doing that at a church, disrespecting the house of the Lord. And then the woman claimed that she a reverend. Like, on top of that being a sin, what are you saying, sister? What are you saying? All right, let's get to the next person. Another arrest. This dummy. He got his 10 minutes of fame. I'm Mr. Bearded guy. Because these leftists are gassing him up. Well, let's see what he had to say about his arrest. Roll the clip.
They've just arrested Nikema Armstrong for our protest on Sunday. You know, my lawyers tell me they have no case. This use of the FACE Act and the KKK Act is complete bullshit. But let's be honest, they don't care. They don't believe in the rule of law. They're fascists. They're now going after the Clintons for the Epstein files. What the God damn, people. When will you stop acting like everything's normal and going about your days? Get in the streets now. It's time to shut this country down. We are at fascism. The republic has fallen. Please, Americans, please stand up for something. Do not be the same as those in 1930s Germany, because right now that's exactly what you're all doing. Please wake the fuck up.
Hey, little mama, come on to Arizona with that tough talking. Come on and put your fascism stuff to play in the great state of Arizona. You weenie. Now let's say this before we play the other clip of him. Somebody need to find out who his lawyer is. Because your lawyer lied to you, boy. Your lawyer worked for Donald Trump or something. He's an informant. He told you to get online and admit to crimes. And now look at you. You've got arrested. And they're going to find out all that child you got on your computer and all that other stuff you probably doing. Like the people that are the craziest and that are the most arrogant and that talk like this, walk like this, act like this, they be doing crazy stuff behind the scenes. And they're so arrogant that they're throwing rocks at people and they live in a glass house. It would be very funny if this guy had inappropriate stuff on his phone. He trying to meet up with minors. He looked like a person like that. And yet he's screaming to the mountaintop that he hate Donald Trump. That's what you get, shawty. You talking all that tough talk. And let me say this. Let's play clip 4 and then I'm going to give some commentary. Before we get to this dummy, she got arrested too. Big mama. Big hamburger heifer. Look like she needs some Ozempic. She should have been running in the street burning for some fat instead of running her mouth. You doing the wrong running, sister. I'm just keeping it real with you. Hot yellow. You know what I'm saying? You gonna live to 55 if you keep up with this. Cardiovascular and that heart pumping overtime. And you out there doing stupid stuff. Let me hold off on that. We're gonna get to Davos here in a minute because Gavin Newsom decided to go on the stage in a foreign country and talk tough when his state is taking a poo-poo. Bring Big Mama back on the screen. They arrested her too. And let me say this to Pam Bundy. Pam, if you listening to me, ma'am, everybody that went in that church need to go to jail. You could cut the head off the snake, but you still got to get rid of the snake. You can't just let it lay out there and its tail still doing this. These people were all complicit in criminal activity at the church. Every single person that endeavored in disrupting the church and refused to leave after a reasonable request should be arrested. Y'all threw a fit on January 6th, and y'all indicted everybody involved, even people that wasn't even there, that thought about coordinating it. Geolocating people's phones, showing up at their doors. Y'all should do the same thing with these people. That is not American for you to disrupt the place of worship to push your false agenda in a coordinated and premeditated attack.